Hi Eddie, hi Gary, Lee Bailey here, long time listener, first time caller, hiking up onto Bryniau Clwyd, including hills in preparation for Lakes Traverse, early April. Good luck everybody, I've actually got you coming down my ears as we speak. Look at this. Welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast. Hey!
Hello and welcome to episode 113 of the Tea and Trails podcast. Thanks for the intro, Lee, and good luck for the Lakes Traverse. Goodness me, that's going to be taper time soon. I can't wait for that dot watching with you doing it and lots of listeners doing it. I'm quite invested in that race, in that route. And yeah, coming in your ears. I've not done that for a while, Eddie. Please keep those intros coming. Email them to hello@teaandtrails.com.
If you're not a Patreon, where the hell have you been? Get over there now. Stop what you're doing. Press pause on your Garmin. Just find the Patreon app, download it, and just join. We've asked you enough times if you've not done it yet. Shame on you. Just joking. Gary's dying. He's like, Eddie, ask nicely, please. Thank you for the price of a cuppa. You are the one that keeps the lights out. Though Gary's not got his light on today. Can you see the difference? If you're watching, yeah. Ooh, jaundice. Lights on, mic's hot. Big hugs to everyone who's already joined Patreon. Of course, we don't expect you to. We just will be disappointed if we meet you and we just do the Patreon. Because what Gary has with him at all times is a clipboard of people's names and also a photo. And so if you come and say, oh my God, are you Gary from the podcast? He'll just scroll through. No Patreon, no perky. But a new perk. Do you remember Lewis Ryan? You do, because you had a love affair with him. Kick-ass trail runner. Winner of the 2025 Arc Nutrition. Lewis, you're so fast. Well, tell me your sessions. What do you do? He is the founder of Bruiser too. Bruiser is the UK's top-rated craft beer marketplace. They partner with over 100 of the best independent breweries to send you a box of their freshest beer direct to your front door. I mean, I've never had a craft beer in my life, Gary. I'm so sorry. But if it's your thing, feel free to drop Bruiser a message on socials. If you've got any questions, or head over to www.bruiser.beer to find out more. Gary and I, we've made a bit of a bobo here. We both got our bubbles hats on. Too matchy-matchy? Never too matchy-matchy. But if you're waiting for a bubble hat or a snood, just make sure your address is in Patreon. Remember, no address, no goodies.
What a URL. I didn't even think you could do that. .beer, bruiser.beer. I always thought it was like .com, .co.uk.
That's because they're young and hip and happening, Gary. Are you a craft beer guy?
My palate is not that advanced. I've
We
said
are
this
not
before.
cool enough, are we? We're not cool enough.
I separate my food and drink into I like it or I don't like it. I can't pick out a bit of apricot, something like that. I just can't pull those flavours out of beers, so it's wasted on me.
What is your beer of choice Thursday if you're having a beer?
Ooh, I like Wainwright's. So that's one of my go-to beers. Or they have a Kronenbourg 1664. I think it's a blonde. That is incredible. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking as I'm wrapping my...
Slipping her lips around it. It's cool. It's calm. Oh dear. All right, before our sponsors leave us, let's say thank you to them. Thank you to X Miles Precision Fuel and Hydration, Harrier Trail Running, Phoenix Light UK, SHOKZ and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Enjoy music and stay aware with SHOKZ bone conduction technology. Perfect for outdoor sports. Sweat-proof, waterproof, ultra lightweight. I put mine through the wash this week, Gary. Came out, gave him a little charge. Fine, just a little bit. Yeah, absolutely fine. Not a problem. Dear listener, do not recommend washing them, but they went through the wash. Fine. They also have a 24-month warranty, and I don't think ours are 24 months old. 30 days return and refund, secure checkout, and free delivery. So if you're listening and thinking, I just wish I could hear the birds as well as Eddie and Gary, then pop over to ukshokz.com and use our code TEA10 for £10 off.
Also, thanks to X Miles for sponsoring this week's show. X Miles is the family-owned independent endurance sport retailer that provides nutritional goods, apparel and accessories to help athletes perform and recover at their best. X Miles offer a wide range of high-quality products from leading brands, and their team of nutrition experts, cyclists, runners and outdoor enthusiasts can provide expert advice and guidance to help you reach your goals. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just getting started, X Miles is the perfect place to find everything you need to succeed. Use the code TEA10 for 10% off at www.xmiles.co.uk.
Links to all our sponsors, Patreon, and of course the ultimate Tea and Trails Ultimate Ultra Weekend. They should put ultimate into that. I might suggest it to the team. Can be found in the show notes and over at www.teaandtrails.com.
Very grateful. Have you seen this Yugo project?
I've got it. I've got it.
Has it arrived?
I've got it. It arrived. I wore it for my long run. I loved it. I love the size. I love the weight. And do you know what I love most of all about it, Gary? Is as I'm running and I was crying about my 18-mile road run, I could see the contours in the peak the whole way. So I was just like, man up, Eddie. Man up, Eddie. Stop whining. Zip up and get on with it.
Pop over to YouGoGo Projects if you would like one. And don't forget, Patrons receive 20%.
That's surely jealous of them. I really like it. I've worn my YouGoku cap for all my big races. It's featured in the podcast a number of times. But this one, the peak is just slightly bigger, which I like as well, especially at this time of year when I think it's not bright enough for sunglasses, especially in Scotland. I think you might get arrested.
Turn mine around. Go 180.
I'm not cool enough for that. Oh my gosh. You and your cap and your craft beer.
Mine's in the wash. It's a bit stinky.
What? How could it be stinky?
6-hour run Thursday. I got my grubby mitts on it before you. Entries for the Tea and Trail Ultra Weekend are live. If you would like a weekend of trail running, entertainment and camping in the Lake District, then head over to www.teaandtrailsultra.com. How has your week been?
Oh, Gary. Oh, you are so low.
I should clip it all together every time I ask you, how was your week? Oh.
Can you imagine, though, every week, if you're running along and listening to this and you're a bit leg weary, you've got a busy life, you've got a busy job, got a busy family, and someone says, how was your week? And it's Monday morning. How am I meant to go? It was incredible. From every morning getting up at 6 o'clock to unpacking the dishwasher, hanging out another load of washing, to doing the dogs, to hoovering, to getting my children up who whined, and then working all day, and then driving around the Highlands of Scotland to all their various sporting activities, feeding them ungrateful children.
It depends who I'm talking to. If
Shall
Lisa
I stop
sends me a
whining
text-
about it? People would be going, Eddie's whining.
Well, if Lisa's at work, see, I'm quite blessed. I'll sit at home all day to do my job.
We know,
Lisa's at work actually grafting. So I don't. If she asks me, regardless of how I'm feeling, I'll say, yeah, I'm okay. I don't want to project.
Do you? If Bryn asks, I'm like, I had to do. What have you done on your holiday? Yeah, you had a good train ride. 6 hours on the train ride. Girl, that yellow. What is it? You and Bryn watch Yellow Fever? No, what's it called? Yellowstone. How many episodes of that did you get? No, I don't mean to whine. I'm sorry. It's the first thing that comes out. I had a fine week. It's just, it's just the days are just go. And then I'm just so tired. I just don't seem to get on top of my tiredness. Even when I literally go to bed, sleep. Not like I open my Kindle, it falls on my face, and I go to sleep. And then I wake up and my ring says, you are optimal. You are ready. What are you going to do today? And I'm like,
liar.
When do I feel good? Maybe it's just past that, and I'm always going to feel like that. But then again, as my mum always says, well, look what you're doing to yourself. Is this good for you? Yeah, started with a rest day because I had a mega weekend. Really busy weekend, lots of running, lots of driving. So Monday, whoa, I had to catch up. Didn't go running, did a dog walk instead. But then, as we all know, I'm playing catch up for the rest of the week going, I haven't done that, but strength, haven't done that. Blah, blah, blah. Like you, Gary, I like to hit my targets. And if I don't hit my targets, I like to cram it in. So then I'm like, how much can I cram in? A little bit more here. Anyway, so that doesn't help. I don't help myself, do I? But I did manage my heat training, shriveled prune. I think that might be as well why my legs always feel like shriveled prunes, is because 2 or 3 times a week I'm drying myself out.
And is this passive or active?
Oh, this is all active. That sauna, that's past. I'm now all in. So I do wonder, we're talking to the guys at Core next week, and I'm really, how do you manage to maintain heat? Because I'm heat adapted on my app now, but I can only maintain it by 10%. I grew 10% last week. But then as soon as I have a few days of not doing it, it goes down. I'm like, how do you maintain it while trying to carry on? I do think perhaps cross-training is the answer and doing it biking rather than running, which I'm coming around to the fact that if I biked instead of ran in the heat, it would take a lot less out of my quads, because my quads just seem to be generally really tired, and I'm sure they're epically dehydrated.
When I've been telling it to Lisa, because some of my runs are super early in the morning, could I run around the village
in your core suit?
5 o'clock in the morning in my core suit before anybody sees me?
I would pay for a YouTube video to be made of that, you know?
I'm really curious this conversation. Hopefully people don't think it's like some sponsored show. That is not, it's not a sponsored show.
We often do this. We get obsessed with things and then we find people to talk about it. And then 2 weeks later, we'll be like, we've heard that fishing is really good for your abs and you'll be doing fish abs.
You cannot avoid it on social media. Jack Scott, Heat Chamber. I've seen him sharing pictures there. So it is definitely like a hot topic within our community. So I think it is our duty, Edwina.
Topic. Exactly. It's our duty as, well, you as you term, you're a heavy influencer. So I took a rest day Monday, then Tuesday went out with the dogs, jogged around our like this abandoned estate that we have that's just been left to sheep, who the sheep are just left to run riot. And often they've got into the farmers' crops, and I love the sheep. There's peacocks. It's all the buildings are like ramshackle. It's quite spooky. Anyway, the sheep get out all the time, and when they're on the crops they know they're bad, because we run down the track and they go, normally in the park they pay no interest to us, but when they're on the crops they go, oh, they look up and they're like, don't tell, we know we're doing something bad, but it tastes so good. Oh, Bertha, oh, Martha, you got it's a moment on your lips, Martha. I know, but it's so good. They're so funny. Anyway, we were jogging through this bit and I came across a school cross-country race, Gary. I saw all these cones lined out and I was like, brilliant. But then I had to run right through the cross-country race and they had like tea and coffee and cakes set out. I never see anyone on these tracks. They had like this sensational array of cakes. And I said to the guys, I was like, oh, this isn't normally here. Brilliant. And I was kind of hoping they would go, well, help yourself. They didn't. They just sort of like, who is this scary red face? Then I had to run like through the funnel of everybody. Bit tired my legs. I had to drop an 8-minute mile, Gary. I was like, but it looked great. Anyway, that was fun. That was a highlight. How sad is that? Highlight of my run. Actual people on my run route. Wednesday, I felt recovered. I did do a workout in the morning. Felt great. Did like long. Often I do these. This is a good little, if you're a bit tired, but you feel ready for workout, but you don't want to hit that injury, especially if you're tired. I think the risk of injury when you're tired to try and do workout is high. So I did longer efforts. It allows you to build into them. So I start with like really longer efforts and they get shorter and shorter, but I don't go anywhere near a hamstring lift. I keep it like just a really good steady. So you come away going, oh yeah, I've had a good run. I feel like a proper run, but I can do a recovery run in the evening. Top end zone 3, I think is a great place to be. So I felt good. Thursday, lots of easy miles. I did oh my gosh, I found this sensational bit of path on Thursday evening where the kids have sports clubs that is a bit of concrete. It's like a bike path and it's got these like little lights either side so you can see where you're going, because 6:30 at night at the moment, bit of a danger hour, head torch, no head torch, you want to do your strides, and it's on a slight incline, Gary. So I ran up it and then I thought I'll do my strides and like moderate running back to the car, and I didn't realize how downhill it was. Oh my God, I was loving. My watch sometimes reads the kilometers in my ears, and I was like, it was going kilometer 6. 3:59. I was like, 3:59 did you say for that one? I needed a minus 15% gradient, but I felt great. So maybe I pushed a little bit hard on that strides and effort because that felt more hard work than the workout, which I don't think is meant to be. Friday, a bit more heat training, a bit more miles. And then I made an error, which I think ran into the whole weekend, was I'd done one heavy set of lifting. I need to do my second heavy set of lifting. You just have a squat rack in the garage. I could see the plates on it, but I presumed it had been Finley on it because there's a little gym program that he has to do. And so I lifted it off, Gary, and it was so heavy. I thought, this is what he's squatting? But then I thought, I can't take the plates off. I can't do less than my teenage son. So I did 3 lots of 10. I could feel my quads like, should have just, anyway, I didn't count how much was on it. Nearly 70 kilograms, which is heavy for me, Gary, for 3 sets of 10.
And was this Finley or was this Bryn?
Was it Bryn? You don't think Bryn even knows there's a squat rack in there? So, because I thought it was about 50, and then I noted. Then I was like, no, hang on a sec. What's it? Who's been doing? Who? It must be Evie. Who's been squatting that heavy? Anyway, I left it on there, and then Saturday morning, the only way I was going to fit in a long run was by running to the kids' sports matches, which is a great use of time. It makes me sad. I know I've talked about doing it before, and I don't do it all the time because it's all on road. You know, when you just like you're at mile 4 and you're like, oh, it's such a long way to go, and it's a long straight road. I've got nothing to break this up. I don't have to do it about once every month, and suck it up, Eddie. But my legs carry. Why didn't I do that heavy squats? They were so sore every time, every little hill, every downhill. I was like, honestly. So it took me 2.5 hours moving time, elapsed time, 2 hours 53. Every like 5 miles, I just need to stop and rub my quads a bit. Oh my God. By the time I got to the match, I was like, and then we just sat on a grass bank and watched the match. Afterwards, Brian, we've got to wait for everyone to go. I don't think I can get up. My legs were they were so tired. So then I had planned to do another little hill workout on the Sunday. Absolutely no way. Got up on the Sunday morning. We had another super busy sporting day with the kids, so I had to get it done. So that's the problem, isn't it? When you've only got that early morning slot, the body, if it's a bit sore, there was no way. I literally hobbled out along the road and said to the dogs, if you pull me 1 iota, I'm going to scream at you. And I managed, I managed about 7 miles. Bryn was like, I think you're 1.5 hours because I didn't have my watch.
Mentally, how are you feeling? You've released the workout. You're not going to do it. Are you
I have
struggling
no
with that?
problem with that. Absolutely no problem. I know we are so different like that, but I am more than, if my legs are really tired, if I'm tired, I can do just go and warm up and get started. And often I feel fine. If I'm sore, I'm now old enough and wise enough to go, this isn't a good place. And more often than not, I'm absolutely sure it's to do with perimenopause. I get really sore much more than I used to. And I'm sure it's hormonal. I can't fight it. I am actually sore. There is muscle damage there. I'm not tired. Yeah. That is just where I am at my life right now, and that's how it has to be. And I can fit my workouts when I can do it. The workouts might not be what they used to look like, but they're getting done. And if I'm sore and tired, I just have to accept that I'm sore and tired and drink more tea and eat more food. I definitely got my food wrong last week. I was really busy in the evenings, and I think we talked about my cereal. And I think when I was doing my long runs, I just felt so empty, and I thought, this is what comes of eating cereal as your main meal, Eddie.
You know, I've had toast, peanut butter on toast, and then a bowl of cereal.
But that's all right. We haven't got to the main meals yet. That's just breakfast. That's perfect.
It's lunchtime.
But yeah, I've sworn to myself. I've made the brownie honour to myself that I will do better and cook my meals so they're ready in the evening when I come back. Oh, will I do this? Will I bollocks? I told myself as well. I still got a really good volume in. I didn't get much climbing in, but I can still get I took about 5,000 feet of climbing with not doing any hills because we're just lumpy. That was fine, but I don't feel I notched any fitness up this week. I just kind of held on and ruined my legs in a fashion. For Sunday, I didn't get back till quite late. I hadn't done my 3rd heat training, but I hadn't seen a couple of, I'd done the one kid. If you've got multiple children, if you have the one kid, well, our rule of thumb is if you've got the one kid, you do the further travel, but you've only got one kid. So it's bonus. If you're doing less travel, you have 2 kids. So it's kind of more work, but you're home earlier. So I didn't get home till late, and I could have gone on, but I wanted to play Uno with Evie and see the den being built. So I thought, I'm going to let it go. I did whine that I hadn't watched any TV, I think, last podcast, but we made time. Evie and I finished Miss Austen. You always recommend Netflix things, which I am never going to watch. So I'm doing a recommendation for people that are in more my kind of TV category of the period drama. It's been out for ages. It's taken us forever. It's quite long. It's about an hour each episode, 4 episodes. Evie and Evie's only young, and we watched last episode. We were beyond ourselves, Gary. We were weeping. It is so sad. I started crying. I thought
you were going to say laughing, weeping with.
No, it's so sad. And Evie looked over and she's like, "Mum, are you crying?" And then I just let it go. I'm like, and then she was like, we were honestly beyond ourselves crying. Oh, but it is really good if you like that sort of thing. It's a really good television program, really well acted, all women, written by women, directed created by women. Love it. So, but I said to her, we'll start your Jane Austen indoctrination now, Eves. We'll start. Boys, I could hear next door on our like little TV. This is the big one. Do you remember the big one? They're watching some sort of like 10 best messy goals or something. Me and Eve's watching a Jane Austen. I love it. Excellent. I said, now we can start your proper indoctrination. The week was fine. It came round and I just have got to do what I can do while maintaining some sort of semblance of hygiene and home life balance. But gosh, it's tough, isn't it? It's tough to juggle everything.
Fighting fires.
Fighting fires, some well, some not so well, but hey ho. But I love it. I love being busy. I love having lots of things. I love having lots of opportunities. Can't complain, Gary. Can't complain. Right, let's hear workout number 1 of 6.
I'm just trying to think about what programs would make me cry.
Yeah, I could see you weren't really listening to what I was saying.
I think Rocky made me cry when he gets off the canvas. You've never seen Rocky. Any of them. Oh, it's the greatest cinema production of all time. Star Wars may be the greatest. Didn't cry Star Wars. Oh yeah, probably did shed a few tears.
Have you ever cried? Nothing. You've never cried at anything. Snowman.
Oh yeah, I cry quite a lot watching stuff. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Just all up front. My workouts. Who hates a workout on an evening when you put it off and put it off and put it off, and then it's like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening?
I think that's when most people do their workouts, Gary.
Well, I appreciate. Yeah, but then I'm working. See, this is where my life's flipped because of like literally got no routine. I will choose to do the stuff during the day.
Yes. You'll feel better during the day. Yeah.
And then I'll do the work in the evening. But for some reason, I'm not too sure what it was. I had to do that one in the evening. It was 15 minutes, 8 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm not too sure what the rest in between those were. 1 minute incline on the treadmill to kind of cancel out that treadmill effect. The first 15, so basically every time you went to the next set, you increased the speed of the treadmill. That first 15 minutes, I felt a bit demoralised, a bit down the dumps because it wasn't actually moving that fast. As far as, say, if I was comparing it to hopefully what my, say, marathon speed would be.
My treadmill, I always go, you're lying. There's no way. I'm definitely running at 6 minute mile. It feels so fast. It feels just fast, doesn't it?
It was insane, but maybe even something like 8 minute mile.
What was your heart rate like?
It wasn't particularly high initially, but my legs just felt like they were out of control. Moving so fast. I should have done some strides. I think that probably would have been a good thing to do.
Oh, it's a treadmill workout. The first 20 minutes.
Anybody who's done any treadmill stuff, you'll realise that first few minutes, it just feel a bit out of control. But yeah, by the time I got to the 5 minutes, and also I think that 15 minutes was a psychological hurdle. That's quite a long time to be pushing at effort. And then when you pretty much half it for the next set, mentally I felt like, oh, well, we cracked this workout. Lakes trip on a Thursday, early start. I haven't really talked about the electric car. The one highlight of having an electric car is when you can pre-condition it before you get into it in the morning. So basically, if anyone doesn't know about this, via the app, you can tell it to warm up inside, so defrost your windows and all that kind of stuff. Anybody who's got an electric car will know exactly what I'm on about. But it was freezing cold on the tops, and in the valleys, absolutely roasting hot when the sun came out. I did come home a little bit pink. I should have had a bucket cap or some sun cream on my face. A big recce day, 21 miles in total with 7,000 feet of...
Oh, mon Dieu.
Some good lines, some sketchy lines, but all...
learning.
Yeah, I stayed on my feet. I had a really good day. I felt pretty strong running all the way. I always start off pretty slow. People seem to get out of the car and get running quite quick. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness me, this is going to be quite a stressful day. But then 4 or 5 hours in, I think, yeah, we're okay now. And that's when I find my feet. But anyone who knows this area of the Lake District. So I was on the Old County Tops route for a good chunk of it, pretty similar to last week. But we then went pretty much all the way to Angleton. You just don't see people there. I know there's some footpaths. Some of the 13 Valleys route crosses that path, but we went through the bogs. We were graced. There was a stag and his 2 wenches were in tow. They're checking us out as we're going through the bogs. Just a good old-fashioned school recce day. Myself and Robbo training for the Old County Tops. For all of those miles and all of that elevation, and obviously 7,000 feet up, you're going to go down 7,000 feet. My legs felt fine. on Friday.
Not
I
rusty
was
old
tired.
prunes like mine.
You know, I was tired. To say you're not tired, but there was no DOMs. There was no, like the previous week when we did 6,000 feet. Yeah, I think we were all hobbling around the next day or two after that. I felt absolutely exhausted. But this week, yeah, not the same story, but big Saturday too. So I'd like to do these 2 big days, ideally back to back, but it just wasn't going to be Friday. I pay the price because I was at the lakes on Thursday. That would be my big editing day for the podcast, so I had to get everything done on Friday, so I didn't really do much on Friday at all. So the big workout was on Saturday, some miles with Rex on the village, and then running to the gym, and then 90 minutes on the treadmill with that. I got my digits modelled up. I said 2 times 10 minutes, but it wasn't. It was actually 10 times 2 minutes. All of this at 15%. It was such a big sweaty run. You need to be super careful with your hydration, probably more your hydration than your fueling for that 10 times 2 minutes, because it's so easy to bury yourself and then just literally wreck yourself for the rest of the day. I got 4,000 feet, so I was pretty happy with that. And normally, like I said, for these treadmill runs, I find my feet for the first few intervals. But for this time round, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a punt and see if I can do say 7 mile an hour or whatever it was. I think I cracked it up to. And with about 20 seconds, I had lactate rushing through my body. I was gasping for breath. I was in big time trouble. So yeah, I put it down to a more reasonable speed. But my Garmin's adjusted. It's turned out, I'm not too sure why or how it's done this, but all of it must work out my heart rate zones itself, even though I put them in manually. And now when I used to go into zone 4, like about 143 beats a minute to 163, I think it was, you know, it's quite a broad number. So I always used to try and get to about 150. I thought, well, if I can get there, then I'm somewhere within that range. It's quite safe. Now it's increased everything to, I think, 148. For me to be in that zone 4 if I want Garmin to be, because Garmin gives you, I didn't realize this, Garmin tells you after you've done a workout how successful you are at executing that workout. And because now all my numbers have shifted, it's saying that I'm like 20% successful at the workout. So not good noise there, but what is good noise? Finally, Garmin's saying I'm productive on my little watch when I
so
finish
with
a
one
run.
hand it gives, and with the other hand,
yeah, only one strength session. I took my eye off the ball, simple as that really. And then I didn't want to do before Thursday. I didn't want to put fatigue in my legs, and I didn't want to do
really,
it
you should
Saturday.
try it. It makes the long run really fun the next day.
So I rolled on to Sunday, and similar to yourself, you know, you wanted to play games with Evie. I wanted to go for a walk with George in the Dean, and that was over 2 hours of my time, which would have been, if I was being super selfish, that would have been gym time. So I chose to spend that time with George. Thought it would stress me out more than it actually did. I'm beating myself up more about constantly eating crap food, even though I'm keep telling myself next week will be better. I still just eat toast and cereal for pretty much 80% of my diet. But yeah, missing those 2 strength sessions didn't faze me
Didn't touch
too
size.
much. I'm very grateful that I still fit into these shorts, but they're snugger than they ever used to be.
How can that be? You exercise yourself to oblivion. What are you putting in your mouth?
So I'm mindful. So when we have a meal time, I used to literally, I'd eat my dinner and then I would literally go straight in the kitchen and eat something else, have a bowl of cereal or something. I was never satisfied. So I'm quite conscious at the moment.
You're like my teenage children. I literally hear the raisin wheat box being open after an enormous like Sunday roast, apple crumble.
Yeah.
And then I hear, can I have a bowl of cereal? I'm like, I literally have
I think
just
men have a
sat down.
delay. This could be a thing. If anybody knows if this is true, I think men have a delay on when their brain realizes they are satisfied from the meal they've just eaten. Because let's say we can have exactly the same meal. She is more than content. There's only me in the house that has gone straight in the kitchen and having a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios or something like that.
Honey Nut Cheerios as well. Not
Honey
even
Cheerios.
like-
I don't think Honey Nut Cheerios would be incredible. Yeah, Honey Cheerios. Yeah, straight on that. Another week in the bank. Tired, but I'm feeling good. Apart from, I've got an aching, I don't want to mention the word plant fasciitis, but is that an aching arch? Is that how that would oh, okay. I've had it a few weeks now. It's not getting any worse. It's not getting any better. And I'm happy with myself, generally training. I'm not negotiating. Sometimes I'd make deals about doing workouts, how I'm going to fit it in during the week. That conversation isn't happening. I'm just getting on with it. And like with the strength session, if I miss it, I'm not holding on to that negative for too long either. I don't know if you've watched this over on Amazon.
Gary, you say every week. I don't know if you've watched this, Eddie. I have an hour a week and I chose it I chose to watch the very sad period drama.
Well, it's quite good, actually. It's called The Patriot, recommended by Rory Stewart from the Rest Days Politics. I'm pretty sure Rory and I, we lead quite different lives. We are chalk. I think he's actually friends with the king, so we don't move in the same circles.
You and Charlie not? I see he's given up skiing, so you're quite similar in that vein.
We're in a WhatsApp group together. Yeah, Charlie, Rory, and me.
Garrett.
So he's not my go-to for TV advice, but 2 episodes in, I'm really enjoying it. And basically, it's quite dark humour. So I think Rory said it's kind of like a Fargo, Coen Brothers style. Basically, he's a bumbling undercover agent, the main character, who likes to smoke drugs. And then at the end of the day, he goes to these open mic nights and he sings about his day during the open mic night. So he's sharing quite a lot of sensitive information. Not a great platform, if you've got a job in the... Which way around is it? There's MI5, no, CIA and the FBI. One protects America and one kind of disrupts other countries. Which way around is it? Do you know?
I don't want to Google it in case then I get a knock on the door from the FBI saying...
Somewhere in Washington. I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. One protects America's interests. And that's why they're 2 kind of separate departments and they don't...
My only knowledge of these, as 99% of the people will be, is from American movies, of which The Night Agent is my most recent, I think.
So why isn't Night Agent? So FBI. So if he's FBI, then they're protecting America's interests, while the CIA might go undercover and...
Central Intelligence Agency, isn't it? The Central Intelligence Agency.
Overthrow a regime.
Why are we talking about this? Where did this come from?
Oh, because they're due from the Patriot.
Thinking of a new career? Have you been approached? Has it dropped into hello@teaandtrails.com?
Gary from the podcast.
I'm just... What are you doing here with all this recording equipment? I'm just recording a podcast outside this highly sensitive prison. Yeah. We're doing loops.
I wonder if there's been anybody famous who is like a double agent. They're posing as like a major A-list celebrity. They're actually
there's all sorts of secrets.
Yeah. Thanks, Precision Fuel and Hydration, for supporting Brew the Coaches. Their website and newsletter are such a good source of knowledge. Articles to read and YouTube content to binge on too. On YouTube, you can learn how to fuel an ultramarathon, what pro runners carry on race day, and how to nail your marathon prep, which ties us nicely in with this week's question. Yeah, I smashed my fuel on the lakes on Thursday. Solid 60 grams of carb per hour plus that pH energy drink too. That's got electrolytes in it. Yeah, we say it all the time, and sometimes we all mess it up, but it helps so much, especially with that back end of a long day on the trails. If you would like to try Precision Fuel and Hydration, then use the code TEATime2025 for 15% off your first order. And if you are a Patreon, thank you so much. You guys can get a whopping 20% off. Head over to Patreon for all the deets. Talking about taper, this week Ian Watson sent in a question. Marathon season's upon us. We're going to have all the UTS races, so it's fascinating. You could even have maybe low-key races, so the whole build-up to the kind of 24 hours before the race could be chalk and cheese. So we thought, thanks Ian for sending the question in. We thought we'd just go through Ian's questions.
All of this stuff we're going to talk about is very personal to you, the race you're doing, your previous experience, your training block. So open your ears, but also everything needs to be related back to yourself. So like everything with this podcast, listen to the bits you want to listen to and let the other bits go.
Well, you will learn. Some people's taper are very different. Like I would like quite a long taper. Some people do quite a short taper.
Yeah. So sometimes you have got to play with it a bit to find out what works for you as well. It also really depends what's going on in your life. But basically, it's a reduction of your training load. Either before, it can be not, you might taper before, you've got a big adventure weekend. It doesn't necessarily need to be a race, but its aim is to sort of reduce your fatigue, tiredness, allow those glycogen stores to replenish and rebuild and improve the performance by actually allowing your body to recover. Because what we're doing week in, week out, as you hear from Gary's and Lana weekly deets, is we're constantly battering the body with the training. Do we give ourselves enough rest and recovery in the training week? Yeah. Probably not. That HRV is always teetering on alert. The taper should start to allow everything basically to recover.
So I will do mini tapers. Like I said, I didn't go to the gym because I knew I had a big day the day afterwards. But say for a a race, I'm not too sure what the length of time is. We probably all have our own journey, but there's a period of time where you've got this adaptation. So you're not really going to do much good to yourself if you, say, train a week before your big race. You're probably only going to put fatigue into your body, which you don't really want for the day. So yeah, we will do mini tapers, say cross-country week. I might be a bit more mindful. I wouldn't do the workout as such, but that more is just a point that I don't want to go into that race tired. There's no adaptation happening there.
Yeah, it's just allowing a little bit of the fatigue to dust off basically in a mini taper, doesn't it? Why do we do the taper? Why do we not just carry on training? Well, the biggest thing, of course, is the tiredness, is allowing the training to soak in and your actual, because I get a lot of this from athletes that are like, when am I going to start feeling good? I'm like, why? That is such a tricky one, isn't it? But it's actually allowing the training to soak in, and you actually, when you're doing your sessions, a couple of weeks, to start feeling a little bit of ping in your muscles, to not feeling like you're just going from session to session, but actually feeling, oh gosh, I'm fitter than I thought, and with a little bit less volume, being able to recover between the sessions as well. And one of the biggest things I think of the benefits of taper is allowing you a little bit more space to do normal stuff. So if you're busy, mom, dad, you've got a lot of work on, you've got that time to get the washing, the laundry, get the house squared away. So when you're going to go and smash yourself, get the food in, get meal prepped, ready for the bit after the race.
And don't think the taper is like an opportunity to, I suppose, take it easy. It is an important and integral part of the race.
It's a block of your training, isn't it? That the taper should be part of the training. When you start to taper, again, it depends on the size of your race. If you're going to do the Northern Traverse, let's say, your taper is going to look very different than if you're doing the Dales Traverse, because I truly believe if you're doing these mega races, you need to go into them with a slightly undertrained body. Not that your training will have been undertrained, but you're going into them with a body that has been in the taper mode for 2 or 3 weeks. Your training metrics are actually slightly going down because you are going to go to the well, and you don't want to go into that with any tiredness, any mental load, fatigue. You want to go in there ready to rip the head off an event like that. And mentally, sleep and banking sleep and things like before that race are much more important than if you're going to run a marathon or a 50K. The taper will look very different from that. And also the system you're going to be using in the race will look very different as well.
For a road marathon, I would say typically look at, say, 3 weeks. That would be my classic taper. Maybe do my long run.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
I'm still working. I'm still doing a workout a week. I'm still doing a long run a week. But yeah, the overall volume.
I think that's too long. Personally, I think 3 weeks. No, I think 3 weeks you could still, for a marathon, you could still be in a heavy load. But again, it depends on your block. It depends on your experience. It depends how you're feeling. Never be nervous to call that taper early. I think that's a great sign. I've done that with a couple of my Northern Traverse clients. We call the taper. Hey, governor, chief, let's call this taper in. We're done. The hay's in the barn. Are you done? You know when you're done, don't you, Gary? You're like, actually, I'm done. I don't feel I'm going to get anything else from any other long run. I'm ready to sort of like start to curl up. So what not to do, and what many people, says she who did 3x10 massive squats before a long run, don't do anything last minute. Don't change your routine. Don't add anything in. Don't do that one last session. Don't do it. If you feel done and cooked, don't do the last run. If you can't fit something in, and this often happens to people, you can't fit that long marathon paced run in 2 weeks before, don't put it in the week before. It's done. It's done. You missed it. It's gone. Ian also asked why you feel so rubbish. Everybody. I think knowing if it's your first taper, perhaps it is your first taper before a marathon or an ultra, that you don't, very rarely do you feel great in the taper. You might have glimmers of it because you go, oh God, I went up the stairs without holding the banister. But often in the run, you feel sluggish. You don't feel like you're normal. And it's really funny because when we talk to Helen, stepping out of your routine, I think, is one of the biggest things. Of like, stepping out of your routine means that you're a little bit discombobulated. You often can feel heavier as well because you're storing more glycogen, which means you're storing more water. So you can often feel like a couple of kgs heavier. So knowing it's all normal, and that's fine.
If you're sensitive about the scales, don't step on them, especially that last few days when you may be carb loading, if you're into that kind of thing.
You want that little bit of extra. And everybody always goes, oh my God, I've got a stress factor in.
Psychologically, sometimes when I am like burning the candle. I'm really super busy. You're holding on, your body's just hanging on in there. And then when you maybe go on holiday, you get ill.
I definitely think so. And that's why I always think as well, like, you're probably right. Like, a longer taper allows that to sort of like those, the nervous system as well, to sort of replenish and come back up a bit. Me being pouring scorn on your like 3-week taper, you're probably totally right that actually it does allow the whole, if we're looking at the whole body holistically as well, the whole body to upturn. It probably does take 3 weeks. Again, it depends on your training block. So what you do in your taper is very personal, and it depends on the race, and it depends what Gary will do in a taper would be different to what I would do in a taper. Even what Gary would do for London Marathon, the guy standing next to him at the start will have done something different in the taper. So there's no right or wrong, but there has been quite a few studies on tapering. There is a really good page actually over at Precision Full Hydration they've pulled all the studies together. So I had a look at those, and sort of pulled out the sort of basic themes that I thought might help people. But basically, it's a reduction in the training volume of between 40 to 70%. Reduction in the volume, but you keep the intensity and the frequency, but you will reduce that amount of intensity. I like to keep a bit of intensity. If people do intensity in their training, I like to keep it in the thread of that in there for as long as possible. I will often definitely have my marathon runners doing strides the day before the race, so that the last thing they remember is pinging along, feeling great and happy and fresh-legged. I will keep, even if I'm, facing an athlete towards a 200-3 spine, I will keep a tiny little bit in the last week of just some strides, just feeling good.
In that last week, I like to do, or maybe we'll do, say, a run with 2 miles, 3 miles at marathon pace. And do not be surprised if you're thinking, how the hell am I going to do this?
Do you know what? I get that a lot. And do you know what I reply always when people say that? I reply, breathe and believe.
Breathe and believe.
Breathe and believe. It'll all be right. Trusting the taper is very hard. Getting it right is very hard. I think the biggest rule, I'd like this on a t-shirt, is less is more. We've said this so many times, nobody steps on the start line going, I didn't do enough in the taper. Yeah. Nobody. Though the science is like, 40 to 70%. Actually, for running, if you're just running, you could cut that volume down loads, and don't be scared. Don't be scared to let those metrics rise. Play around with it yourself. But that kind of rule of like decreasing the volume, but keeping the frequency, I think like keeping the routine. If you normally run, on that time, keep that running. What might normally be a 75-minute might just be a 20-minute run, but it's not wasted. A 20-minute run is great to just have a bit of moment, breathe, get the blood flow, see how you're feeling.
Trust your coach, trust your plan, because if you followed I will just have a training plan from a book or maybe online. If I followed that plan for 16 weeks and then all of a sudden I just disregard the last 3 weeks of the plan, it's like, what the hell have I been doing? So whatever you have invested your time in, and if it's worked, trust it.
Yeah. I think by the time I get to taper with my athletes, we're bonded with a bond that is unbreakable, because we've been through some hell I wanted to get there. Ian, you also asked about strength work. I think, I'm a big advocate of strength work. As you start to approach your taper with your big days anyway, your reps and your weight should go down, so that you're doing a little bit more mobility work, and the strength work you're doing is a lot less energy wise. You're just keeping the movement in there. But I think in like the last 10 days, probably wouldn't do anything at all, apart from if you do a bit of yoga, if you do a bit of what you normally do, don't add something new. But if you normally do some yoga, some mobility, keep it in there.
Don't do heat training.
I did 40 minutes heat training the night before the marathon. Yeah, I would say you'd be surprised at how strength work, even like low reps, low weight, it still is tiring. It still takes it out in your body. So I would don't think I've got to keep it in. I wouldn't. I would take that out with 10-ish days to go. I'd probably do one on a Monday and then enjoy not having to do it.
There's not so much information out there. There's lots of information out there. The various training plans with your how your running should change during the taper. But as far as the strength's concerned, yeah. And I think, again, going back, I don't know where I pulled it from, but I'm sure there's a 3-week adaptation for your muscles.
Trust the process, being able to step away from being that exhausted shell of a runner and allow the flower to bloom. Allow it to bloom by giving it water and fertilizer. We can't too deep in this analogy, but, allowing it that space to let the training all soak in. And it's so hard when you love running and it's a big part of your life to, miss the club runs, or say, I'm only doing I'm going to do 3 reps of this.
Yeah.
But you have to keep your eyes on the prize. Make sure you keep a taper diary as well, so that next time you know what you did, what worked, what felt good, what didn't work, what you would do next time, because we're always learning. Every day is a school day.
You've done your taper, you've got a couple of days for the race. You could be doing maybe a relatively low-key event like a local trail race, or you could be heading down for the London Marathon Expo, which is just a circus. So keep that in mind, the mental and physical load of maybe doing 20,000 steps, 25, 30,000 steps, walking around London, standing in queue after queue, maybe in the expo. I think Paul Bergam, a couple of years ago on the podcast, he put things in place to remove anxiety around the race day and just make it as simple as possible. So if you have the luxury this year, I've been super fortunate. We're going to go down to London on the Friday, pick up the numbers and everything on the Friday, and have a super chilled Saturday. So all these things just to reduce your anxiety, increase your recovery. If it's a race like the Little 100 where you've got a tea time start, was it the lap, was a midnight start. It's easy to enter these races 8 months before the race day without fully appreciating what the infrastructure of the day involves. So yeah, keep all that in mind. How are you going to plan your 24, 48 hours before the race? Anything to remove stress, because there's plenty of stress involved with this whole thing. So yeah, just make your 24, 48 hours as easy as possible. Like Eddie said, if I remember, I will pop the link to the Precision Fuel and Hydration article all around tapering. Like we said, there's lots of great knowledge over at precisionhydration.com, and we'll be scheduling a meeting soon with our coaches. So if you have a question, then pop over to TEA10trails.com and fill out the Google form via the Brew the Coaches button on the homepage. Thanks Phoenix Light for sponsoring this week's interview, and don't forget patrons can enjoy 10% off over at www.phoenixlight.co.uk. The best design comes from the actual needs of users. Phoenix takes providing mobile lighting products with excellent performance as the goal, and born for harsh environments as its mission. Never forget why you started, and your mission can be accomplished. Hands up, I made a schoolboy error on Thursday. We went out on the trails, 6 hours. We were home back in sunny Wingate and it was still daylight, but I forgot. I charged up my Phoenix head torch and forgot to put it in my backpack. Luckily, nothing happened. Hopefully now that is ingrained in me and it doesn't happen again. I need a little checklist of all the really super important things, like your bivy bag, some extra calories, first aid kit, just things that, no matter what, should go in your backpack. This week, we are joined by Zuzana Nemeckova. Now, Zuzana is an ultra-runner, registered nutritionist. She is also the resident nutritionist for the Running at 40 Plus team, and she is getting ready for this year's monster. That is UTS. You could fact check this. I just literally popped your name into ChatGPT, I think it was, and this is what it produced. So yeah, you can tell us at the end. Sometimes it's usually correct, but it could be out of date. I think that's what it's done a few times.
If it's flattering, I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
If it's not, I'll be like,
So, well, the first thing, I suppose, how are you feeling after your weekend in the lakes? I am absolutely pooped, but I did do a big run on Sunday too. Didn't really appreciate I think the forecast was wrong. I'll give myself a little bit of grace. It was a lot windier on the tops on Sunday than the forecast suggested. But yeah, how are you feeling?
yeah, you know what? Not too bad. I mean, as I only did a hike, so there's no, there hasn't been any running involved because I'm currently dealing with plantar issues. So
oh, no.
It's kind of, sort of stopping me in the tracks, actually properly training, but it's not stopping me from getting out into the hills and getting the elevation in and getting the heart rate up and just, continuing the sort of cardio workouts. So not feeling too bad. My calves were absolutely burning on the way up. I'm not going to lie, because part of my rehab is doing lots of calf raises and everything as well. So it's kind of like a double whammy. And yesterday I did, because the weather was so bad, I did have a little lie-in and then did my turbo session a little bit later. So yeah, I'm well rested, so not too bad at all.
I think we talk about it. Russell brings it up quite a lot, doesn't he, on the podcast, Eddie, about going for a hike. Don't neglect the hike.
I love a hike. I don't think I've ever seen hike on your Strava.
Every run, even a run, say going up to Blencathra, probably most of that was a hike. And I was looking down at my watch, and it was probably high 120s, low 130s. So that you're still working. You know, I wouldn't really want to do a 100-mile race at 130 beats a minute average pace. I think I'd be absolutely rinsed. You don't have to answer this question, Zuzana. I've made a mental note of what I ate after my big day out on the trails on Saturday. And you're a professional. I'm just curious what you ate. I'll go first. You don't have to answer it. We don't want to throw anybody in. We timed our run. We parked perfectly next to the Mill Inn pub in Mungrisdale. So we finished right at the pub. First of all, we had a cup of tea, and then I had pie and chips, and then also I had a Huel shake just for convenience, because that was in my drop bag too, and lots of water. I had a pint of water to hydrate. How does that compare with yourself?
So I had a wrap with avocado and cheese and with hummus on the way to the other hike, and then just basically swapped my drinking bottle, with electrolytes for another bottle, because I had another couple of Woom bars to keep me going on that other hike. So yeah.
Puts you to shame a bit, that, doesn't it? A hummus wrap and some avocado.
Well, that's why I wanted to move on really quick.
Nothing wrong with pie and chips. Thank you very much.
No, exactly.
It did taste incredible. Everyone who wants to do event tourism, I'm going to give them the plug, actually. The Mill Inn in Mungrisdale, if they're doing the old Tea and Trails Ultra and they want to do a recce, that is a good place to start and finish your
Was it?
run.
I think it was shut when we did our recce, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was shut because we were early in the morning. And then, did we even look in when we came back? Shane had a van full of mince pies and
he did.
tea. Yeah, next time.
Zuzana Nemeckova is a dedicated ultra marathon runner and registered nutritionist. She has completed races ranging from 50k to 100 miles, as well as a multi-day 125-kilometre race. What was that? I absolutely love a multi-day. What was the multi-day race?
So I did the Highland Ultra with Beyond the Ultimate a couple of years ago, and absolutely fantastic event and just amazing experience. Yeah, that was great. It was the second one for me, but yeah, absolutely incredible. The scenery, I think that's what really made the race. It was pretty tough. Sleeping in the tent in April in Scotland was,
Are the midges out? Is April too soon for midges?
It was too soon. We were lucky. So it was so bloody cold that they decided to stay away, which was really good. I think I've never been so cold in my entire life. So 3 nights in a tent without a sleeping mat, because I was trying to scrimp on obviously weight, because we had to carry everything. So didn't have to carry the tent, but we had to carry everything and all our nutrition. So I made the incorrect decision not to bring my sleeping mat. So yeah, that was a big mistake. I literally had everything that I had on me, and I was wrapped up in the survival blanket, and I had my sleeping bag on, and then I had like this little towel that I had on me, and I was absolutely shivering. And I ended up using those pads that you can put into your gloves, those warmers. So I had those on my body, like in places, just to try and keep me warm. So that was quite an experience.
I would recommend anybody to do, if someone likes trail running and they love that little bubble that you get on the day, do a stage race, because you just recreate it for kind of 3 days, 5, 6, depending on what the race is. I think they're absolutely lovely. Her passion for running led to study nutrition and established her coaching business, On Track Nutritionist, where she helps runners of all abilities optimize their performance through proper nutrition. Zuzana has a particular interest in assisting female runners to run further, faster and injury-free by providing tailored nutrition strategies. She is also the resident nutritionist for Running at 40 Plus, a group of dedicated runners over the age of 40. I appreciate it's totally individual, but I'm asking for a friend, do the specifics change as I'm 50 now, so yeah, as you basically tip over 40, 50-year-olds, do the things we need to consider, as opposed to, like, literally I would just live on jelly babies when I was younger?
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as we age, our metabolism slows down, things change, especially for women in particular. Hormones obviously play a very, very important role. So there's lots of changes going on there. The way your body is able to sort of metabolize different kind of energy sources like carbohydrate, it changes. The hormones obviously got impact on that. We start losing, and this is for males as well, start losing lean muscle. So really need to make sure that we sort of eating to support the muscle growth. For women also, looking after our bone health. So there are lots of things change, and also our lifestyle changes. So it's not just the fact that we are aging, but that our life stresses change as well. So when we're younger, we might be the fear of missing out, so we chasing after everything, trying to do training, sometimes having a really sort of high stress careers as well. Then you add into the mix children and all that, so it's a very sort of high stress period of life. And then as you age, people sometimes start to mellow down a little bit more, stop chasing the career, start really prioritizing themselves. And that plays into, nutrition as well. Are people able to sort of relax, sleep, make the most of the recovery? So lots of things that are impacted, and nutrition can support all that.
It's slightly different to nutrition, but yeah, if I have a poor night's sleep, that just sets me, that's really bad for probably 3 or 4 days after that. How did I do? Was it correct? It's been a bit sketchy lately.
Yeah, no, it was actually pretty spot on. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
No, yeah, didn't embellish me in any way. It just, pretty much as it is. So yeah, no, well done. It did very well.
We ask all our guests this, Zuzana. Where are you? What's the view from your window? And have you been for a run today?
I'm sitting in my sort of office / training room. You can probably see.
You can see all sorts of utensils.
Yeah, so you can see the bike there. You can see the bar there. So it's a bit of a home gym / office. And out the window, I'm looking at a rolling field.
Oh, you look like you've got sunshine.
Yeah, beautiful sunshine, and lots of greenery out my window. Some sheep out there as well. So it's a very contrasting day to what it was yesterday, when it was absolutely pelting down with rain and the wind was just howling the whole day.
Do you know the wind? It actually almost picked my car up. I don't joke. I was driving along. It was an A road, and the whole car went like that.
Yeah.
Proper windy. Proper. I think it's because I'm so lightweight as well.
Absolutely.
Have you been for a run today, though, with your injury? Maybe not a run?
No, haven't been for a run yet. We'll be going out for a little walk around the field, taking the dogs out for a bit. Yeah, I'm itching to get into running.
Are you on the injury bench? How long have you been there? What's the prognosis like?
Well, so the issue started, as typical runner, I've been ignoring it for long enough. So
of course, that's an important part of how an injury starts. Yeah,
dismissing it as you go. Oh, it's fine. It hurts today. It doesn't hurt today. It hurts today. It doesn't hurt today. So you don't do anything about it until all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, this is actually not good. Stopped running towards the end of November. Started to really look into it to try and get it diagnosed what it actually was, because wasn't really sure. Stopped for about 8 weeks completely, didn't do anything, just to try and give it a proper rest. Then finally got diagnosed with plantar, so started doing rehab and started sort of getting out into the hills, doing walks to start off with, just really, easy walks, and then a little bit more punchy hikes with a lot more elevation. Just, obviously, still hopeful that I can do UTS in May.
You've got ages.
Well, yeah. The cardio is still there. I think, I'm not going to be starting from nothing, but certainly trying to do what we did on Saturday, kind of put it into perspective. Well, this was just 8K. We've got another 94 to go. thinking about UTS, and my calves were absolutely killing me. So I was thinking,
yeah. But every little step is further than you were last time. And then was it all right afterwards? Was it sore afterwards?
No, it's fine. I mean, this is the progress. It's not getting aggravated after the hikes. So it's certainly on the road to recovery. I'm pretty sure it won't be 100% pain-free by UTS, but it will be good enough to be able to manage it. So
yeah,
doing everything
you
I can.
Yeah, wow, it's tough. It's tough, an injury like that as well, because in some ways, like sometimes even though bone injuries where they come from is a bit more traumatic, they just can heal. Or with a ligament, you get some good physio exercises and you can sort of rate your recovery, but anything plantar and anything tendon, they're just so annoying, and they keep pretending they're better and then they're not better.
I know,
and then
exactly. You sort of have that, false sense of, oh, everything's fine today. I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, I always think they're a bit like toddlers, that they're like, one day you're like, I am winning my kid, and you see other people's kids and you're like, oh, and then the next day you have the toddler from hell and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so intense. Can you share such an interesting journey that you've had into running and then making a career out of being a nutritionist and focusing on running and nutrition? Can you share a little bit about how you found yourself living this life of helping other people, but also your running journey as well?
I mean, I was trying to think about it actually when I sort of started running, and it would have been, I lived in New Zealand for about 12 years, from about 2000 till 2012.
North Island, South Island?
I was North Island, based in Auckland, and absolutely shamefully didn't get into trail running until I left New Zealand. So it's absolutely
that is shocking. I've heard some shocking things on the podcast, but that is shocking.
I know, believe me, I could not believe it. So I started running there, but was a road runner. So doing, I know. Shall we stop now? Shall we just kick
Do
me
you
off?
mind? I feel a bit sick.
Oy, oy, oy.
I know, this is not going well, is it? So I started doing half marathons. When I decided that I was going to leave New Zealand, return back to Europe, I wanted to do the Auckland Marathon, because I thought it would be quite a nice way of sort of, saying goodbye. And that was a bit of a kick because I, didn't do any training. I had no idea. I basically was the sort of runner who just goes out and runs, no structure, no coach, no member of any running club or anything. So that backfired as expected. So I don't have this, amazing story about, I did my first marathon and I absolutely smashed it. No, it absolutely kicked my butt.
I much prefer these stories.
And I finished basically halfway through. I was like, oh my God, I can't. I'm literally going to die if I try to carry on. So I didn't finish it, but that kind of spurred me on to try a little bit harder so that I could actually run it the next year, which I did and finished it. It still wasn't the most amazing time, but I completed it and I was really happy with that. So left New Zealand on a happy note until I realized that there was all this beautiful trail running community, which I did not take advantage of for 12 years, but there you go. It's all the journey. Another reason to, go back one day and explore a little bit more. So definitely want to do that. So I moved back to the UK. I joined a running club in southeast London, Kent AC. Obviously started doing a little bit more structured running, got a few PBs, half marathon, 10K and all that. Had some nice PBs for my marathons, qualified for Boston, which was very exciting, except for it was in 2020. So, so that didn't happen. Yeah. I also had place for New York the same year, so that didn't happen either. And in between, I kind of got into trail running, and then the whole idea of going back to roads did not appeal anymore. As much as I would love to do Boston one day, it's kind of just became like, oh, do I really want to be training on the roads and do all that again when I'm quite happy plodding slowly on the trails?
It's loads better.
Exactly. So I guess in terms how the nutrition sort of came into it, I'm a big foodie, so that probably helps. I love food. I love eating. An excuse to eat. I always find it. So I've never been one of those people who finds it hard to eat at any point in time. And as far as running goes, very lucky with being able to consume just about anything on my runs as well. But I've always been interested in, what can help me to become a little bit better runner. And I'm the sort of person, I want to understand why. So, you read sort of in Runner's Meat, you read like, or Runner's World, you would read, you need carbohydrates, blah, blah, blah. And that, and I was always thinking, why carbohydrates? I basically decided to do a nutrition course because that was something that I was interested in for myself, not really to make business or anything out of it. But the more I was, learning on the course, I realized how little my running friends knew about sort of proper nutrition. And so when I finished it, I thought, why not turn it into, something more than just hobby? So I started this nutrition business on Track Nutritionist. Interestingly, my focus is to work with women and helping women, but majority of my clients so far have been men. So I'm still keen to help women as much as possible. And I, always try to encourage women to sort of come forward and, ask as many questions as possible, because, I feel like I've got enough knowledge and experience being a woman myself, obviously, to help them out as well.
How does that sort of support work, Zuzana? What does your role do? Are you meal planning for people, or are you more like an educational sort of support?
Yeah, more of an educational support. I really try and stay away from sort of meal planning, because I think it's very restrictive, and I think that it can kind of feed into that whole restrictive eating pattern for people. Whereas, if you can educate people about, how to basically feed themselves better, they are able to use that knowledge anytime, in any circumstances. If they go away, for example, for work, they don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't have this, therefore I don't know what to eat. So, educating them helps them to make better choices in a bad situation, if you like, which I think is much more useful to people than having a set sort of meal plan where, if something doesn't go to plan, they feel like they're failing. And I don't think, you don't want to encourage that kind of sort of feeling in people. You want people to feel in control of what they're able to do. And I think, sometimes people sort of say to me, okay, so what should I eat? And to me, it's always more about, well, what do you enjoy eating? So tell me what you like eating. And then, how can we make it a little bit better? What can we add to it to make it work better for you, rather than sort of trying to go, okay, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. No, this is not good. That's not good. Everything is good. You have to look at every person individually. And this culture of these foods are bad, you shouldn't be eating them, or these are superfoods and you should be eating all of these foods. But, you have to look at the individual. So where is that person? What is the base where that person is starting from? So if you have someone who's already eating, healthy, if you use that word, then it's obviously quite easy to sort of work with them and say, okay, well, let's add this to it, this to it, this to it, and it will make it even better. If you have someone who majority of food is concentrated around highly processed foods, then you need to take it very slowly and start making very gradual changes. At the end of the day, any food is better than no food at all, right?
A calorie is a calorie, isn't
Calories
it?
are calories. And especially if you're talking in the context of someone who is also, very active. Obviously there's difference between someone who isn't active and, their eating patterns are not very healthy for their actual health. If you have the very same person who runs 100 miles a week, well, those calories are still calories and they're still good for them no matter what, because you don't want them not eating those foods. So it's always like absolute puzzle, and you can't just make a blanket statement, as much as we would like to say,
no,
everyone should eat X amount of carbs, X amount of protein and whatnot. It just doesn't work like that.
Keep it simple rather than overthinking. Eat to cues, drink to cues.
Yeah, I think with that, I would say eat to cues and drink to cues sometimes, but sometimes you have to override those, because there are certain situations where your body, after, for example, if you do really high intensity workout, your body will shut down. It will blunt those hunger cues, because it's like, this was really tough and I kind of need to. But you actually need to override that and go, fair enough, but I know what's on my training plan for the next 3 days, and I really need to make sure that I'm going to recover. Therefore, I need to, again, you don't want to force like roast dinner down, but, what can I do within
I can always do that.
What can I do in the next 15 minutes to help my muscles to start repairing rather than breaking down any further? So again, there's these sort of nuances, but as you said, it very much depends on the person, on their background. Are they competing or are they completing? Are they a casual runner who enjoys running, or are they someone who's constantly driving performance or, aspiring to perform better? So then it all changes, obviously. And yes, someone who is there to complete a race doesn't necessarily need to be, chugging down 90 grams of carbohydrate every hour, because there is no need for it. Their body is utilizing different sources of fuel, and it's probably too much, and it's going to cause them digestive issues, as we know. So it's very, very personal, very dependent on what the person's goal is, if they even have a goal.
I branched out because we started talking about nutrition, and I want to get a little bit back to your running. UTS again, have you done it twice before? Are we right?
Oh, look. UTS.
Okay, let's try. There's a story here.
Twice on the start line. Yeah, twice on the start line. I suppose, first of all, what is it about that race that keeps you going back?
I know, you would think, just give up.
No, we wouldn't.
Absolutely.
We are here for you. We love a returner.
So I did UTS 50. I think it must be 3 years ago now, which I absolutely loved. And decided to sign up for that, had no idea. Basically, at that point in time, lived in London, went, to do a recce in Wales before the race, absolutely fell in love with North Wales, absolutely loved the mountains, and literally wanted to live there ever since. Did the race, surprisingly for me, did really, really well for me, and was really, excited about that, and thought, okay, well, next year I'm going to go back and I'm going to take on the 100. And that's at that point where my love-hate relationship with UTS started. Probably shouldn't have really done that race, because it was on the back of that Highland Ultra I did probably like 4 weeks prior. So, my body definitely
You were still cold.
I was still cold. I was still cold, and arrived to Cranberries, and we had the massive heat wave. It basically fried my brain by the time I got up the first summit of Snowdon. Obviously the tiredness was still there. There were issues with water supplies at the aid stations, which probably didn't help with the course either. And DNF'd at about 36K, took the opportunity, literally walked to the aid station, and overheard a guy behind me saying, "Oh, I've got a friend coming to pick me up." And I'm like, "Excuse me, can I come?" With you? My decision was made for me. I was like, right, here I am. I'm going to get right back into the village. So there's no way I'm going on. Obviously decided that I need to go back and, try and put it to bed, and didn't. Yeah, I don't really know what happened last year, to be perfectly honest. I think my why wasn't really dialed in enough. I was training for it. I was excited for it. I absolutely love Snowdonia. I love the mountains there. So any time spent in the mountains, is a bonus. But yeah, again, the heat wave hit again. There were again issues with the water at the aid stations. So it was a bit of a bittersweet of, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening all over again. And literally I threw the toys out of the cot, so to speak. And halfway point, I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this. Literally can't be bothered, pushing through this again kind of thing. Never doing this again. Hate this race. Absolutely not. And literally within 2 hours, I was like, okay, I need to go back.
May's such a tough time, isn't it, for a race? You train through the winter, you turn up in May, and it could be an absolute scorching. Yeah, you've had it twice. I wonder with the water side of things, though, I've never been on that course. Is it like logistics why they struggle to get water to certain places? Yeah,
so last year, I think, fair to the organizers, to be fair, they've had issues with one of the landowners. So where they used to have a sort of like a big aid station, about a month before the race, they've been told they can't use that.
Oh, goodness.
So they kind of had to make an emergency kind of only water station. But to make things worse, the water station was further down the road. And when we got there, there was no water because they ran out, because that point was really quite difficult to access. The frustrating thing was there was like this massive water reservoir next to the water station. And you can see it, you can't get to it, right? And it's like, oh my God, this is like, this is the biggest teeth.
I did a race once, and there was a tarn just right near the race, and one of my friends told me this story. You overheard somebody thanking the volunteer for carrying water into the middle of nowhere, and he didn't share the fact that he just scooped it out of the tarn, so whatever was in that water. But if people don't know, I'm sure lots of our listeners will know, it's literally, it's a 60-mile race-ish with 20,000 feet of vert. So if you're thinking of races like, we've got the Arc, which just recently happened, similar elevation and 40 miles less. Lakeland 100 is exactly the same, I suppose. And Old County Tops, which is a race I'm very dear of, and I often flex quite a lot about how tough that race is. It's basically double the miles and double the elevation. You know, that's kind of simplifying things, but it is an absolute savage of a race. So now, yeah, with your plantar issues currently, what is your goal for 2025? Is it complete this race?
Yeah, absolutely. Put it to bed. I don't ever want to have to do this race again. I mean, I'll keep going back to Snowdonia because I absolutely love that place. And, even the two experiences that I had with UTS, the time that I did actually spend on the course, almost you can't wish for better conditions because the views were just for miles and miles. So it was absolutely stunning out there, but the heat was just, it literally fries you on the tops. It's nothing like training through winter, getting battered by wind and sideways rain. And then 2 days before the race, you're like, seriously?
Yeah.
I think this is where my sauna tent would come in great for you, Zuzana, that I am thinking while you're talking, going, well, you can't run much, but you could get really sweaty on the bike and a sauna tent. You could heat train like a machine, which would not only help your fitness, but also then if it was a hot day, you'd be flying and everyone would be like, dying, and you'd be like, I've been on my turbo in a ski suit. This is nothing.
You know what? Actually, that's not a bad idea.
I know.
Not a bad idea.
As you're talking, I was like, I think you should just like focus on always when you're injured, focus on what you can do. And if you can bike, do a little bit of a heat training block. And then if it is, how long have we got? It's almost good
May the 17th, isn't it?
Now. Yeah.
There's no damage to that because if it's cold, well, we've done lots of cold. We're in the winter, it's fine. But if it's hot, you've kind of had some prep.
You came onto our radar, actually, Zuzana, through Protein Rebel, who very kindly sponsor our podcast. How did the relationship come about with Protein Rebel?
One of my friends was using, he was ambassador Protein Rebel at the time. And I thought, what are these gels? I need to look into it because I'm always looking out for, what my clients potentially might want to be using. So I try to use different stuff as well. I've got my preferred nutrition that I use, but I always like to use other stuff. I bumped into Liz and Tim at the National Running Show a couple of years ago. After I sort of became aware of them, I, bought couple of the gels and I thought I'm going to give them a try just to see what is all this fuss about. Yeah, I think I ended up taking them on a run, did one of the Instagram photos, as you do. And Liz contacted me and sort of said, we've loved the photo. Can we use it? And, would you mind coming on board as our ambassador? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because I love their product, and I'm not just saying that because I am their ambassador. I'm very picky and choosy about, the sort of brands that I support because I love a product that is so clean. And what I mean by that is like natural ingredients. You just every time you can get a product that lists 2 to 3 ingredients, you're like, this is a winner. Like you absolutely cannot go wrong with that because it's just going to be good for you as a sports nutrition, but also everyday nutrition if you choose to use it like that.
I think it is just maple syrup and salt for the
they've got maple,
gels.
Exactly, and the other one has got coffee extract. So you've got 3 ingredients in that maple coffee, and that's what you want because as runners, there's so few runners I know that don't have digestive issues when they consume too many sort of sports nutrition products because of all the additives and sorts of stuff in them. So yeah, it's nice to see that there are brands coming out with natural products which, work for people as well. So that's really good to see.
Do you take any other, do you use their protein powder or their collagen? Or I've just started taking their magnesium.
So I use their magnesium. That's my evening ritual. I put that into my hot chocolate in the evenings before I go to bed.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm not going to start that. Otherwise, the kids will be everything in moderation, Mum. Hot chocolate's all around.
Well, I make my own hot chocolate. When I say I make my own hot chocolate, so I use almond milk because I don't really do normal milk. It's just my preference. And I add like few bits of dark chocolate in it. So sort of 80% dark chocolate, whip it put it in the microwave, and then add a spoonful of the magnesium, which, it's better to take in the evening because it helps you sleep better. I use the marine collagen as well, which I put into my coffee every day. That's like my morning ritual. And I've been actually upping that up a little bit to help me with my recovery for my plantar, because obviously it supports ligaments and tendons and everything. So I doubled the dose in the last sort of 3 weeks to see if that's going to help. Anything that will help speed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do use that. I don't use the protein powder, but that's purely my preference is to use whey protein because it's a little bit more bioavailable, so your body absorbs it a little bit better because it's animal-based product. So with the plant-based product, it doesn't work for me. So I don't use but it's nothing to do with the taste or anything. I mean, I think it's a great product. It's a great little sort of selection of products that I've added to my sort of toolbox, if you like, because I'm the sort of person, I like to mix things up. Just using one type of product doesn't work for me personally. And especially when I get into like running longer, obviously distances, the taste fatigue. And as I said, for example, if I'm hiking steep inclines using poles, I prefer to have liquid calories because it's easier for me from that sort of perspective. So I always like to have few products that complement each other to help me basically get through the race and make sure that I actually, don't just sit down and write down what I'm going to have, but actually end up having it.
I'm going to try that. I always have my magnesium during the day purely because my bladder.
And I've told you so many times to have it.
Well, I know this, but it's literally
blah, 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 blah.
No, I get it. I hear it quite often, but it's only because literally to have that drink before bed plus a cup of tea.
You just need a shot. You just need a shot of it.
I'm not doing it. I've tried it with that Pillar Performance previously, and I just wasn't doing it. But now, because I do have a cup of tea, sleepy tea, and I have my collagen in that, maybe I'm going to load up my collagen and my magnesium in my cup of tea.
That's it. Yeah.
Eddie and I, we've both got interest in nutrition journeys. On race day, the wheels seem to fall off quite often. And it's a real puzzle because I could do, say, a 6-hour training run and everything is fine. I'm running probably faster than race day because often training days are faster than what you would do for a 100-miler. I'm consuming the same type of product. We're fortunate to be supported by different brands. And quite high. I don't miss a beat as far as eating. But come race day, much sooner than that, nausea and food fatigue can set in. I wonder if the anxiety plays a big part because, like I say, I can do 6 hours. But on a race day, maybe 4 hours in, nothing seems to want to go down. And then I can finish. Lake 100 was a great example. I couldn't face anything for probably 12 hours. Finished the race. I had a bowl of chili. It was just insane. And it stayed down. Yeah, it's a puzzle.
Yeah, no, anxiety definitely plays into it. And also it depends on, your nutrition and race nutrition and your hydration. And I think hydration is a big part. People often underestimate the hydration part because obviously you need to make sure that when you're putting all the gels in and all the carbs in and everything, you've got enough hydration to make sure that your body is able to actually deliver all those nutrients into your working muscles and get it out of your stomach. Because if you sort of think about it, if you're putting all the sort of sugary stuff into your body and not enough liquid, what the body starts doing, it starts pulling the water out of your working muscles and all, wherever it can get it into your digestive system, because it's like, this is too thick in here. I need to try and dilute it. So if you're putting in enough sort of hydration, then it has the opposite effect. It's like I'm flooding it out where it needs to go.
What about like protein? I'm leaning on the 13 Valleys experience. I understand the carbohydrates are your fuel. But Baby Bells, little cheese balls, they literally transformed my whole race experience. Those and Freddos. So that was basically my nutrition, was a couple of Baby Bells and then 3 Freddos every, half an hour, 40 minutes. But yeah, no carbohydrates, so technically no energy. But yeah, obviously it made my experience much more pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, so it depends. Obviously, when you've got Baby Bells, there is a little bit of protein in it. There's quite a bit of fat content in it as well. In terms of fuel strategy, I'm not so sure about that, because obviously it takes so much longer for body to break down protein and break down fat to actually turn it into sort of energy. Whereas with carbohydrate, pretty much as soon as you put something carbohydrate into your mouth, your body starts breaking it down, starts converting it into energy. It's very different with protein, and it's very different with fat. So, part of it could be that the change in the taste of those products made it easier for you to digest them. Obviously, it's still calories. So at the end of the day, eventually they get broken down and eventually they are going to be providing you with energy as well. And depending on how, using the word fat adapted you are, meaning that your body is using the stored fat for energy. Again, it's a slow burning process. So, if you're not running super fast, then it sustains you. But if you were then thinking, well, I'm going to do sprints and I'm going to use baby bells, you probably find that that's not going to work. You'll be like,
can we try that?
Yeah, go on.
Try that. I love that. Have you got any other plans, Zuzana, for the rest of 2025 after you have completed UTS?
Not really. So I'm kind of big. I mean, I had lots of things that I wanted to do, but because of the plantar, I decided not to go overboard and just, book too many races, which I potentially won't be able to do. So I thought, UTS is already booked in, so let's just focus on that. I was meant to be doing Grizzly next weekend or weekend after, I think, down in Devon, but it's just not going to happen. It's 20 miles, and it's just not worth, at this point in time. I'm thinking, no, be smart.
You're going to be on your turbo now in your heat suit for now.
In my tent, yeah.
In your tent. Oh my gosh, bike in the tent. I haven't even tried that one yet. I love it. Where can people find you, Zuzana, if they want to learn a little bit more about you and perhaps have a little bit of a look at what you might be able to offer to help if anybody's thinking, I just need a little bit of help with my nutrition?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and my handle is Track Nutritionist, and I've got a website which is Track Nutritionist as well, so people can find me through both of those. Yeah, and I've got obviously contact form and contact details on there as well.
One top tip, you can have a go as well, actually, Eddie. One top tip, if anybody's out there struggling with their nutrition, what would you say?
From experience that I have it working with clients, is one thing that seems to be a common theme is people don't eat enough. Full stop.
I would say, and I'm not coming from the nutritionist background, coming from the running coach background, but 99% of people I'm absolutely, and also what I always, when they tell me we break down their fueling of the long run, and I go, we're going to minus this by 20% as well, because what you think you've eaten and the carbs you think you've eaten, that gel packet probably isn't empty. There's probably a bit of gel and you think you're eating enough. So I'm so glad that you said that. And that's how, but you're probably the same. Like, it's hard work to get the calories in to fuel daily life, and if you're training hard,
absolutely,
it is constantly eating.
And I think the other thing actually is to try and test your nutrition at the intensity that you think you're going to be running the race, because that has got a huge impact on if you are actually able to consume as much as you think, because obviously if you're going for a nice sort of jolly, your digestive system is going to be behaving very differently than if you are pushing the pace, because obviously it's got, it has to work harder. So definitely try and pick a race that is not your A race, but that you can actually use your nutrition on a similar terrain, as similar to your A race conditions. So, not necessarily the distance, because you just need to try it on a shorter distance, but similar condition, similar pace, and then for sure if that's going to work for you on the longer run or not. Well, not for sure. I wouldn't say for sure, but more likely. Yeah.
Excellent. Should we do the quick five?
Yeah.
Eddie and I, we are famished, Zuzana, and we're banging on your door. You need to cook us a lovely evening meal. What's your signature dish?
We've got 20 minutes before I get hangry.
We've got a vegetarian too, actually. Yeah, we've got a vegetarian.
The quick one that I've been using lately is literally noodles. So any style noodles you like. It's quick ones, instant noodles. Some air-fried tofu, add in it as many vegetables as possible, a little bit of broth in it, vegetable one if you like, or miso broth. Yeah, have that. Couple of, if you ate eggs, I would add eggs to it. If you don't eat eggs, obviously then not.
Nice. Might have this tonight.
Sounds delicious. Yeah,
easy and literally done probably in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if we all put hands to the pump. Gary doesn't just sit with a beer and watch.
When someone says broth, it feels like medicine. That's like, as a child, that's a real memory for like a broth, or say maybe like a chicken soup or something.
Yes.
Like when I was poorly. Yeah. Okay, you've done your long run, you've done your race, you're driving home, you pull into the service stations because you've forgot your whey protein shake. All you've got is McDonald's, Starbucks or KFC. Is there anything on that menu on these kind of fast food outlets? Is there anything on there that, you'd eat?
Anything.
Anything.
I mean, after the race, honestly, after the race, any calories you can get in is obviously going to be good. So I would probably start with a milkshake because if it's milkshake, you're gonna have obviously some protein in it already, and then whatever literally floats your boat is good because you need to get fuel in, and the chances are you're going to get some protein, you're going to get some carbs. Okay, it's not ideal, but it's definitely better than not having anything at all.
And you probably missed a meal. I think a lot of these big days out when you've been running, you've seen maybe start mid-morning and you finish at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You've literally gone without a meal. Anything.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. How do you get your 5 a day? Are you supposed to have 5 fruit and 5 vegetables, or is it just a combination?
Well, I mean, I think it's a combination, but I don't think it's enough. Personally, I think you should get as many in as possible. So for me, usually in the morning with my porridge, I would have banana and berries in it. Blueberries typically, but mixed berries are good because the more berries, the bigger variety. I always have to have something in my lunch. So if it's like avocado, salad in my wrap, and then dinner, I literally, as I said, the noodle recipe, I would put whatever vegetables I can find in the fridge. So the more the merrier.
Or as my kids would say, no, Mum, all in moderation. That's too many vegetables.
And it's interesting, we did talk about calories earlier. If you had, say, maybe some chips with your evening meal, and that would be delicious, but that could be, say, 700 calories. Imagine all the nutrition and the veg and all the kind of high quality foods you could eat. Your plate would be absolutely bursting with the volume of food you could eat. Do you have a favourite supplement?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple. One of my favorite supplements that I take outside of the protein rebel ones we've already talked about is Cara NZ, which is a black currant extract. I take that daily. I've been using it for probably 2 years now. For me, it's like a magic pill. It literally helps with recovery. It's obviously very, very high in antioxidants, so it helps with inflammation. So I use that religiously. It's my go-to for taking it during the race, taking it, between races, dosing up on it all the time.
We got sent some, Gary, didn't we?
Yeah,
we
we
need
did,
to get onto we need to get onto that and do our experiment of 2 and then write a scientific paper. 2 middle-aged, over-the-hill athletes tried this. They still couldn't get out of their cars.
I think Kim Collison's one of their athletes, and we also enjoyed
absolutely. And Hayden Hogg is another one. Big sort of
Ruth Croft, I think. Ruth Croft was
Gavin Dale. We just throw names out there.
We can add our names into that.
Absolutely. I mean,
I don't think we're the image they're looking for.
I'm pretty sure you are. I don't, it's absolutely, it's a great product. I mean, they've got lots of sort of scientific papers behind that, behind the benefits, and really a wide range of benefits outside of the sort of fighting inflammation, but performance benefits and just general health benefits as well. So it's a great little magic pill.
It's another pill to add to my rattling.
The rattling jar. Okay. It's Instagram story music time, Zuzana. Every week, we share the podcast over on Instagram, Facebook, and we can add a song to that story. And you get the choice. What song's it going to be?
Well, that's a tough one.
Well, we do ask it every week, Zuzana.
Oh my gosh,
is there anything on your turbo that you're like,
heavy metal, dance music?
You know what? My taste in music is so appalling that
you probably get on well with this.
It's terrible. I think the song that I probably would put to it is "The Climb" by Miley Cyrus.
Do you know you're not the first?
Really?
You're not the first. I think that might be the 3rd time Miley has featured. No, I love it. I love it. Gary's grimacing.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Do you love it of Miley?
It's a great song, isn't it? It's a euphemism, isn't it, for running too,
Exactly.
More than
it's the struggle.
Yeah.
It's the grind. sunshine.
Metaphor, not euphemism. Sorry, got my
Zuzana, thank you so much for joining us, sharing only a snippet of your journey. We've got everything crossed that the planter gets you to the start line. I know if you get to the start line, you're going to get a pat more water than's needed.
Thank you so much.
We'll be tracking, and hopefully then it will be the start of 2025 and lots of adventures. Keep on going. What a wonderful ray of little light you are on a well. You've got lovely sunshine. I've got a rather dreary.
Sorry, I can see that.
No, it's lovely. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure talking to both of you, and thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks, Zuzana.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Harrier Trail Running, for supporting our Strava Club and Tales from the Trails. Harrier is the UK's fastest growing brand for trail runners, providing specific kit designed for superior fit, comfort and function with the best customer support. Check them out for race vests, waterproofs, poles and other trail essentials at www.harrierrunfree.co.uk. You can also download your free copy of our How to Run an Ultra guide. Use T10 for 10% off site-wide, or check out their brilliant trail bundles for a special 20% off.
I leaned on the Kuba 5 litre race vest again this week over the lake. So this has gone from when I first received this from team over at Harrier, I thought, that's my commute pack. That's the little morning dog jug, got my phone, my poo bags, a few little snacks if I needed. But now it's turned into my kind of go-to trail vest when I'm out for big days out on the trails. And don't be fooled, it says 5 litres, but it's super stretchy. It's got this little deceptive compartment on the back too. So it's got a double skin. Because sometimes with backpacks, you shove everything in, and the things that you might not think you need, but when you do need them, are actually really important, like your waterproof trousers, for example, and your waterproof jacket. They're quite hard to get at because you might have stuffed them at the bottom. But the compartment allows you to put things like that separate from your main bag. For 5 litre vest, it squeezes all the stuff in. I'm keen to wear this on the All County Tops race. I need to test it with full All County Tops kit in it, but it's currently £45 and 49 pence over at Harrier, plus a further 10% off with the code T10. Strava Club time. First up is Rob Drag, 60 miles for the week with the longest run of 23 miles and 4,386 feet of vert. Easy miles, workout, a long run. Rob did the classic, another workout I invented, 2020. Garmin has the credit for that workout, but I love doing it. Yeah, 2020, that took me right back to my marathon days. I just love that. And you can do this in a group too. If anyone's thinking, what is this 2020? Super simple. Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4. It's as simple as that. And usually, if you're with a group of mates who've got different abilities, you could probably stay with each other maybe for Zone 2 and Zone 3, as long as you're not vastly different in ability. But then Zone 4, we just go first one back to Luciano's, whatever it is, which is like 3 miles away from where we start. And then, everyone just goes on their way. Next up is James Cooper, 61.2 miles for the week and a longest run of 31.1 miles, 3,435 feet of vert. Phoenix St. Patrick's Run, 50k PB. A lot of people will know James actually from his incredible marathon run streak, 366 back-to-back marathons. Yeah, that was some awesome running, James. Kudos for that. Last up is Kathy Brook, 64.6 miles for the week, 26.2 miles longest run, 10,686 feet of vert. Request to follow, Kathy. So I don't know what you've been up to, but I wonder what the 26.2 was. Was it like a virtual marathon? If it was an actual event, that is like the dream. When you're doing, say, a race like London and you beep at 26.2 and you're still going down the embankment. Mind you, I don't think it was a road marathon because with 10,686 feet of vert, but I'd be curious what that was. And I took a glance at the top of the Strava charts. I don't normally do this. I don't want to celebrate just the big numbers, but Alistair Courtney covered 226 miles, not all on foot, but still, that is an eye-watering mileage. I did a bit of digging too, not just a massive volume, but Alistair, if you're a Centurion runner, he has graced the podium with quite a few Centurion races too. Some epic run commutes during Alistair's week. Yeah, incredible. I find it really inspiring from the very top to the bottom, people getting out there every day. We spoke to Helen earlier on doing a half marathon run streak, just day after day after day. that grind. And a lot of it is, I know we put it on Strava so people do see it, but yeah, it's like that classic, is it the analogy where the iceberg, you've got the little tip at the top, which is your event, you achieve a medal, you win a trophy, but all that graft that just goes unseen.
Or you make a podcast so that you can come on it every week and whine about the graph.
Wang on.
Wang on the graph. Thank you, Protein Rebel, for bringing us home. Whether you're trying to get a PB, you could be training for your first ultra, Protein Rebel products are easy to digest with no artificial additives, providing both performance and overall health benefits. If you'd like to try Protein Rebel, use the code TEA10 for 15% off your first order. Oh my goodness, Gary's all been wanging on. I can't keep saying wanging.
All out. I am all
I thought,
out of...
not only have you not got your fancy ring light on today, but you've not had your collagen. You're like, what's this, Benjamin Button? Yeah, like Benjamin Button at the end of the film.
I started using collagen because I had an achy knee, and it's been such a success story for me that I'm a bit scared if I don't have.
This time next week.
Lisa, like Yoda for next time. But Lisa's been using my supply and totally wiped me out. Luckily though, more.
I cracked open a new protein powder, the big tub this morning, and they've started putting these little metal catches on it to stop it leaking, I guess, in the post. So I honestly, it blew my mind, Gary. I can't tell you how many of these protein tubs I've gone through. So I was like, how am I going to get those off? This is what? And so then you just put, spoiler, if you're as excited about me, is ping them off. But I pinged them off and they've gone everywhere. There were about 6 of them. Ding, they went and I heard them go, ding. I thought some small child later is going to tread on that with their bare foot and I'm going to know where it is.
I wonder if somebody's opened their box of Protein Rebel and it's just like decanted.
That powder does go like I look like when I've taken all my powders and supplements in the morning, my kitchen counter looks like the drug den of the Highlands. I love it. Sometimes I think I could just leave it, see what anyone would say, get some new friends round and go, these old powders. Anyway, to celebrate the partnership between Protein Rebel and Tea and Trails podcast, we're giving one lucky person the chance to win 600 grams of Accelerate protein powder, 100 grams Run Easy collagen if it's in the box. Gary probably used it up. 100 grams of Power Magnesium, 9 Ignite Maple syrup gels, a Tea and Trails hoodie, a Tea and Trails technical tee, and a Tea and Trails bubble hat. To be in the running for this incredible prize, pop over to Instagram, like the post, share the post to your stories, follow at Tea and Trails and at Protein Rebel. In the comments, say what your bucket list race is. Terms and conditions apply. This competition closes at midnight. Gary will be there at midnight. Click, click. Stopwatch stop. No more entries on 31st of March 2025. This competition is for Instagram only. Winner will be connected by direct message, UK only, plus 18 years. I've given up Instagram for Lent, Gary.
I noticed. I tried to collaborate.
Oh, have I done nothing?
Nothing.
I know, I'm really sorry. I realised for work. So I thought, shall I jump on like on a Friday and just press collaborate, check my messages? So I'm in bargains with Baby J about whether I can do that. I tell you what, though, I tell you this for free, Gary. The people that take up noise on your Instagram channel,
the bone broth drinkers.
Like you were saying, the bone broth drinkers, like your algorithm, like, so how long has we been? Like a couple of weeks now? And for all these people I don't know that I follow on Instagram, I don't follow a lot of Instagram people. And I tell myself, I don't spend much time on it, but I obviously spend more time than I think. Like when I'm in the car waiting for kids, I'll have a little scroll. And that little bit of time that you have when you're like, actually, I can't go on my phone and I have to just sit here and be with my own thoughts. So I'm sorry, I will let you down. But also, like me sharing a post, I've got like 2 followers. Who's going to listen? You
Millions. You're like a Kardashian, Eddie.
But I do quite like not having it there because it's just. But then I
haven't cancelled Instagram, but I still not using social media in the bedroom, and I've not.
What about your OnlyFans account? Is that how do you record those?
Redundant now. That is. Nobody was paying for it.
It amazes me,
sometimes.
That. Absolutely amazes me.
There's no point in giving it away.
So you're not doing your OnlyFans this week. What are you doing? Because you've already told us the podcast going to be like, not doing my work this week. Going on your holidays. You're going on a holiday.
I'm going to Scotland. Going to Bonnie, Scotland for a few days.
I'm lonely.
My wife and son are going to see The Darkness.
I believe in a thing called love.
I have been bombarded with Darkness. Oh, I didn't realise I had so many albums, and they're not all as good as the first one. So I'm pretty up to speed with Darkness. Yeah, so they're going to have a great time. I would go and see them. I've seen them before, so it's not such a big deal for me. But I'd rather spend that time with Esme. Other than that, I've got cross country on Sunday. I will run when I'm in Edinburgh, but I don't think there's going to be a workout. I suppose my point is I'm probably not going to go to the gym. I might do a workout. Well, from pretty much the bottom of Arthur's Seat to the top of Arthur's Seat is about half a mile. Now my session, it's those 800s again, but it's 800 up, then a little kind of 2-minute jog, and then 800 down. So it will be like we talked about the taper earlier on. It'll be a mini taper because our last fixture of the season, and if we don't do well on Sunday, relegated. So it'll be nice to see if we can stay up. I'm probably going to struggle to fit the long run in, but again, this is why I think when you do a training plan that is so long, so for pretty much all of this training plan, I've been doing 2 long runs a week. If I miss a week,
I think
all
okay.
will be well in the world when I wake up next Monday. What about yourself?
I'm not going on my holidays. I'm all by myself. I'm all by myself, Garrett, for 10 days of solo parenting. Sunday night, the Sunday night blues hit hard last night when I was like, oh God, I don't want to do this.
Ben and Jerry's, comfort the pain.
We'll be all right, Gary. We can do it. Yeah, like you, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit in a long run with racing season, and like my client athlete calls become more regular. You know, everyone, we need to really we're really touching base. We're talking about races, tapering, post races. So I've got lots of those to fit in, which then mean I'm finding like a 4-hour slot without Bryn to hold the fort. I'm not sure how I'll do that. So probably like you as well, this week might not be the long run, and I'll just piece it together with lots of little jigsaw pieces until he's back. And I've just got to be aware as well, which I think I probably pushed too hard last week, was that like when I'm on my own, and kudos to all those parents that are on their own week in, week out, like the energy of doing all the household chores by yourself, nobody to share that. I am in awe of you, because I've got 10 days of it to be able to do it like week in, week out. I just think it's incredible. So I think I just need to save a bit of energy as well, so that kids, like they did last week, they come and say goodnight to me because I'm already in bed because I'm so tired. And I hate being grumpy in the evenings because I'm so tired. So I'm going to try and hold back a little bit to keep the evening energy, count the days, plan where the energy is going to be expedited, and hit some ready-made meals, Gary. All will be fine. But don't worry, I'm all by myself. You come to Edinburgh, not that far away from me, and you have a lovely, lovely time. Don't come and say hello. Oh, no.
I'll be thinking of you. When I'm smashing my Wagamamas in Edinburgh.
I don't know what you're going to say. Oh my God, what's happened? Oh, dear listener, let's finish this here.
I've enjoyed our social intercourse this week, Eddie. It's been good.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Thanks for listening. Please share this episode, the pod, share the love. Pop over to Instagram. You won't find me there. Facebook, YouTube, subscribe, or even consider being more awesome. Can you be more awesome than a Tea and Trails listener? I'm not sure whether you can. By joining Patreon or our sponsors. We love you. Thank you so much to X Miles Precision Fuel Hydration, Phoenix Light UK, Harrier Trail Running, Protein Rebel, and SHOKZ for sponsoring the show. Here are the discount codes: T10 for SHOKZ, T15 for Protein Rebel, T Trails 10 for X Miles, Tea Time 2025 for Precision Fuel Hydration, and T10 for Harrier Trail Running. Thank you as ever to our partners and patrons. We couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support.
Good luck to everybody out there on the trails, whether you're training or racing. You all rock. Share your stories and your pictures over on Facebook. Tag us in on Instagram too. Yeah, we really love seeing what you are up to. Also, pop over to Precision Fuel Hydration. There is a new product.
Mine's arriving today. I don't think it's available to buy yet.
I think it's coming.
Don't share it.
Our new blah 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 drops March the 27th. Enjoy the sample.
I think it's a game changer. It's like the 90 grams gel pouches. I would go as far as to say Precision Fuel Hydration have changed the game with that gel. I think the new product, I haven't tasted it yet, But I think it's should we do a teaser? We haven't been asked to do this, by the way. It's just because we love the products. It's an improvement on a product which a lot of you use.
And it's no spoiler, it's part of their fueling range.
I'm going to have to, when we finish this, you're going to have to unwrap it and show it to me, Gary. I can't wait any longer. Too much on a Monday morning.
Let the trail rise to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to your future self, breathe and believe, and progress, not perfection. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 113 of the Tea and Trails podcast.